live.
All right.
I'd screwed up before, I think. Hold on. And we should be live now.
I'll tell you when it pops up.
Uh-huh. And then everything that we're talking about is going to be there on delay. And while you're waiting, we're also, it's always this way.
There you are.
Okay, we're live.
Switch to gallery view.
Don't you oppress me. There we go.
Perfect.
Hey, everybody. It's time for the hot seat. We've got Michael with us today. Before we start, the usual obligatory things that we've got to say, what are they this week? Outside of join our new newsletter in the flow by going to intheflow.email without the www, because apparently then it doesn't work. And we'll dish up some love line for business goodness in your inbox, some of which you won't get anywhere else, including the podcast.
Let me just say that I have over 14,000 unread emails on my phone. I was going to show you but Bram signed me up for our own newsletter because without asking me. And I received the first one last week and opened it. And I actually really enjoyed it. It's a nice bite-sized chunk. There's some interesting content, some links to some different resources, and just little snippets of good info for you on your entrepreneurial journey. So I will probably continue to open them every Friday and spend, 60 to 90 seconds looking it over, and encourage you to do the same, even if you hate too many emails. This one is worth adding. I have not felt the need to unsubscribe yet, but I'll let you know if I do. Yeah,
give me time. And by the way, Greg, last week was the second, which just goes to show how much you've been paying attention. But I appreciate that, buddy.
Well, it's in those unread somewhere. I'll go back and look.
All right. I think we got everything out of the way. Michael, welcome to the show. It's great to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
So let's jump right in. Why don't you tell us a little bit about sort of what you're at? If this is the first time that you're watching us on the hot seat, what we usually do is we have someone come in, tell us a little bit about sort of the background, and then we start digging into whatever's holding them up and see if we can get some of the crud out of their gears. So why don't you tell us what you're about?
Yeah, absolutely. So to give you a little idea, I started selling on Amazon about 3 years ago. Started out with retail arbitrage and kind of had didn't even know that Bezos had started selling books at the time, but I kind of took his route initially. Grew a six-figure book business while I was also working a full-time job as a federal civilian. Went ahead and quit the job. Figured that I was going to go full-time. Went to private label, and about 1 year after getting into Amazon, and realized that there was far more to it than I had ever thought. Went ahead, hit some struggles, learned a little bit about supply chain management, and we're going to probably go ahead and get into that here in just a little bit. That's probably been my biggest obstacle, is really understanding cash flow and supply chain management in order to set our business up to consistently scale. And so that said, the past 2 years just been going very hard into private label. Created one solid brand, I would say, and unfortunately, in this extremely experienced community, I would say solid would be foundational at this point, and there's so much potential and room for growth. And we had a second. I wouldn't even call it a brand. It's just more of two products that are within the same category, but definitely do not have a strong brand behind them, and they just are essentially accumulating sales daily for us to where we don't have to give it too much focus, and a little bit uncertain if we should even do anything with that. Again, very new to this, and at the same time have a little bit of experience in just the fundamentals, I would say. So yeah, I guess that would give you an idea. And I guess the final note that I would say is for the third time, for anyone that has not actually been out there and really kind of took that leap of faith. This is the third time I've actually gone ahead and quit a six-figure job in order to truly just pursue being a full-time entrepreneur again, and with a bit more of risk management than I've ever had. So that took place on July 10th. So we're almost one full month into full freedom mode.
I'd love to dig into that maybe a little bit later. I have now been unemployed for 2 days and I've never been happier, and have, as opposed to you, don't have quite the setup yet to take care of cash flow. But being untethered has been great for giving me sort of the mental space that I've needed. But Greg, starting with book arbitrage really sounds like some of your roots in working on Amazon, right?
Yeah, so I recently walked away from a 7-figure business, 6-figure revenue, like April, to do this stuff full time. So sounds like we're all three kind of in the same boat there. It's really cool, just the mental space that it frees up to let that thing go that is just ruining your brain. I think we can
Absolutely.
all know what that feels like. It's just the sense of freedom with just this little hint of anxiety about all those dollar signs that now you have to replace.
Yep.
So yeah, I actually started on Amazon selling books and doing retail arbitrage as well. I actually started in 2012 and just kept it as just like this side hustle hobby for a long time. But then when I was just really getting fed up with the other business that I'd started, I viewed e-commerce as my way out. And so I basically have slowly replaced out what I used to sell with kind of the private label stuff that I do now. And now I'm just hitting that J curve, which is super exciting. And just in time too. So yeah, we'd love to talk with you about everything going on, because it sounds like we have a lot in common.
Absolutely. And feel free to ask any detailed questions as, just as a side question really quick, Greg, I'm very curious. As you were growing your retail arbitrage with books, did you start actually getting into online arbitrage where you were actually purchasing non-prime books and then reshipping them back to Amazon after purchase, only to sell them as prime at a higher price? Something that I haven't heard too many people about in the space the past few years kind of capitalize on. I was just kind of curious, since you started in 2012, which was just so far ahead of the game, sir, which is just absolutely awesome to hear about. Considering that I started in, it was just about 2017, if not, about mid 2017.
Yeah. So, I did some of that Amazon to Amazon arbitrage, where you buy a book that's merchant fulfilled and it's usually a lower price. And then you basically just put a sticker on it, ship it back into the FBA warehouse, and you can mark it up like 5-fold. And if it's textbook season, then they just fly off the shelves. So yeah, I did some of that. What I started noticing counterfeit books. So it was crazy. Like people, and it wasn't just textbooks. Like there was this really high priced book. It was like this specialty, like financial sector type thing. And I had found a really sweet deal on it. And I just like flooded Amazon with them. And I was making a 10x markup on each book. It was pretty cool for a while. But then somebody actually bought one of these books and completely copied it. Like they did their own printing of it. It was a counterfeit book, not from the actual publisher. And I started seeing those showing up, and started to get really uncomfortable with accidentally missing one and maybe accidentally selling a counterfeit myself, and having that kind of endanger the account. So I did that for a while back when it, I think, kind of first started. But I bailed out probably within a year because it made me really nervous, and I didn't feel good about kind of the customer service issues that were going on with just some of the things you go through with textbooks. Like they're not all in good condition, and I just didn't feel good about selling stuff that was garbage,
I just want to add that I think that the people that started doing that in 2012 were saying, God, we're so late to the game. All these people that started in 2006, they got in early when everything was just starting. Because I think that's sort of a story we always tell ourselves. It's like you look back 3, 4 years, someone who started doing what you're doing now, and say, shit, if I'd gone in a little earlier, I would have been ahead of the game. But that's always going to exist, right? And that shouldn't stop you from doing anything, because you're always going to be 4 years ahead of somebody 4 years down the line, regardless.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think something like that is a good opportunity to just build up a cash pile. But in terms of trying to rely on that for steady revenue is kind of a nightmare, because every single day you have to go out and find new inventory. It's not like you can just place an order for 1,000 units.
It's a time investment.
It's a huge time investment. So I think it makes a lot of sense starting out, but I would try to get back out of that as quickly as possible too.
Definitely.
And running that as a business, don't you just need to be buying like a ton of books and then deciding which of those are worth any money? But you need like a stream. You need like a big stream of books coming through all the time for that to work. Like the only people that do that long term and make a business out of it sell most of their books more or less for free plus shipping or something like that, and then mine whatever they what's that?
The way it sounds is that Greg was able to acquire multiple copies of books at a time, as opposed to I was going out with a Bluetooth barcode scanner, running it through software to give me a green light or a red light to say, here's your profit margin, and then you look at the cost of the book and your ROI. If you're spending $3 in a book, you're only going to get $1 back. Probably not the best investment, but if you're going to libraries and like let's say Goodwill, purchasing a book for between $1 and $2, and you're able to resell them for at the very least a 100% ROI, then you just acquire as many as you can as fast as you can, right?
But it's still a volume game, isn't it?
It is. Oh, absolutely, it's a volume game.
All right, but you stopped doing that and you're doing something else now, right?
Yes, yeah. So we have, as I mentioned earlier, we have one brand where I would say that we actually have the fundamentals in place, and we have another brand where there's no trademark attached to it, other than just the brand name being in the title. And I would like to mention that unfortunately, our primary sales channel since the inception of both these private label brands, so to speak, across 4 different products right now at this point, has just been Amazon. We had just started expanding over to Shopify, which within the very first month of our real brand, actually doing very well. Our very first month on Shopify, we started running out of stock, and we were able to pull just around $8,000 in profit, just because our customer base was able to really reap the reward of a lower cost when going through us as opposed to Amazon.
What's the brand?
So the brand is actually called Paradise Pouches.
And it's pouches?
Yeah, so essentially, I'm not sure, Bram, if you're familiar. Greg, you seem like you're from the United States. When I was a kid, there were these drinks called Capri Suns. I don't know if you're familiar with them. Yeah, so essentially we made a recyclable, BPA-free, resealable Capri Sun pouch that's 16 ounces. And essentially at the time, no one in the market had a straw hole like Capri Sun did. And I'm not sure if they were just in fear that there was a patent surrounding it, which there was no active patent at the time. And we essentially just came in the market, capitalized on the lack of functionality. And at the same time, a lot of the pouches in the market were just, they were leaking a lot. They had a single zipper, and we just made a double zipper to create a better seal, made a straw hole so that way they're puncturable. And then we just put a very, I guess it was an attractive logo to us, and it ended up becoming very attractive to our customers as well, as beach bars were really acquiring them. And to give you an idea, our logo is just 2 palm trees. And essentially it started becoming very, very successful with bars and restaurants. And I'm sure, as you can imagine, just kind of crunching some numbers here in the back of your mind, we were not ready for COVID to hit. And essentially, as the brand had been scaling, we went from approximately 1,500 units a month to about 1,000 units a week. And we just were not prepared for it as a couple of young 20-year-old guys that are just trying to pay off all of our old inventory debt that was barely successful, and taking care of one truly unsuccessful product, which was a baby milestone blanket, which is now you can just see tons of examples of people pulling that one off. And we got into that about a year and a half ago, but learned that two young guys know nothing about selling to mothers.
Well,
I'm looking at your
go ahead.
I'm looking at your website right now. I think this is a really cool idea, and it sounds like you've identified a need. So there are already people buying this from you on Amazon and on the website.
Yes.
And you mentioned that some of those orders are like large multi-unit orders that are going to
yes. So
bars and restaurants.
Yes, so absolutely. So it's not uncommon whatsoever for, I would say approximately about like 17 to 25%, somewhere in that range, for our orders to be at least 2-unit orders. Mm-hmm. And past that, it's very, very common for us to go ahead and receive 10 to 50-unit orders every month. And I would go ahead and say, like, if I could just kind of take just sticking a number there to the wall, not having them right in front of me, I would say that we would receive approximately 20 to 50 orders that will be in excess of 5 units per order. And okay. We will receive, probably about like 10 or so orders that will be 10 plus units. And from there, it really just depends on the month. But we can go ahead and actually end up seeing, 25 unit orders that we've seen 4 to 5 times happen. And it actually just happened on our website, which we were not expecting. And I think that there was a large customer base waiting to order it from our website. And this is, again, just a theory here, but essentially we had offset the price on Amazon versus our website by about $5. And our competition on Amazon was selling at $17.99 while we were selling at $29.99, while offering the same quantity, but just overall, it seemed as if we're offering a better customer experience. And then on the website, we were selling at $25. So
that's cool. That's really cool. Bram, I cut you off earlier.
What I meant. So what's your biggest challenge now? Is it just being able to supply that? I mean, I'm sorry. Before you go there, is it it's reusable even if it's being used by bars, or are they like putting a drink in it, handing it to somebody, and then it's theirs to take with them?
Well, so that is the thing, is that just after a lot of testing, putting it in the dishwasher, actually I would love to just kind of get this out there, is it's a fun story that no one else is going to know, and I'm sure that you guys can appreciate doing product testing, is my partner and I put water inside the pouch, and we just kept on clicking the plus 30-second mark on the microwave just to see how long this thing would go before popping or melting or putting a smell inside of the liquid, right? And so essentially our angle has been easily reusable and conveniently disposable. And so obviously with the hole there, if you puncture it, you can definitely wash it out, but it's not completely sealed at that point if you're going to reuse it and pull the straw out. If you do keep the straw in, there's a very limited amount of liquid that will actually spill out. It's only what comes through the straw. When puncturing the hole, it actually, in which we weren't really expecting, it creates a very nice seal right around where the straw it actually meets the hole. And so again, it is very easily reusable. Can survive through the dishwasher, no problem. We've never experienced melting issues. I would say like the weakest point of the product, if you're gonna try and reuse it past like maybe 3 to 5 uses, would most likely just be that the adhesive where the zipper seal is at just starts to wear off, and then you lose the zipper. So,
but how are your customers using it?
Yeah, so and that's such a great question, Bram. And I would say that's one of the main reasons why I was really looking forward to getting on this call, is that we seem to have a very diverse group of customers. We've been able to pinpoint about four major audience groups, but that's really the hardest part to determine. Is most customers are using them to freeze and prepare juices and smoothies, which has been really our move in the retail market. It's been going around to local juice bars, local smoothie bars that are not franchised like Nectar, which would be just awesome to get at a later date as a client. But as of right now, just along those lines, they're trying to start subscription services. During COVID, they're looking to ship products out, and they need to keep them temperature controlled. And this product is allowing people to go ahead freeze them. And to answer your question there, Bram, I don't know how often that they are reusing them. According to the reviews on Amazon, right now we have 198. We've accumulated 50 since being out of stock the past 3 weeks, and we look forward to coming back in stock here within approximately 10 to 14 days, fortunately, on a continual restocking basis, which is great weekly. That said, we've noticed that there is a lot of people that are reusing them when they care about the environment, which is really where I'm looking for some purpose fulfillment there, and for the brand itself, looking for purpose fulfillment. And just kind of throw in a real side note there, a good side note rather, is we're actually switching all the straws over to biodegradable straws here within the next 4 to 6 weeks on our upcoming orders. And so all of that said, tying into the reusability factor, I believe it's really, it's so hard to determine how much the customer is reusing it, but we want to push that. We want people to be reusing them, but I don't know if it's our place to kind of strong arm them into that mindset, right?
So I didn't ask you if the customers were reusing them. I'm sorry. That's okay, because I think that has to do with the way that you're used to thinking about it, which is why I'm sort of insisting to go back to my question, which is, yes, how are they being used? And what I mean with that is I'm sure that the way that it's being used by someone who buys it for their home is going to be different than someone that's a customer who is running a store, right? So the fact that you can fill these pouches, stick them in the fridge or the freezer, and then when you have customers coming along, you can hand them out. But are any of these smoothie bars asking for the pouches back after they're done?
To the best of my knowledge, no.
So then you're going to have to assume that they're being thrown out.
Yes.
Okay. So that's the way that your bars and your smoothie places and whatever are probably using them, as opposed to right. And then and the best way to find out is if you have an order, especially if you're getting orders from Spotify, is who the people are. So if you've got an order over, you got a 50 order with 50 units, reach out to them, ask them, we're just starting. Did you enjoy using them? What you have any feedback on it? What did your customers like about it? What didn't they like about it? We're a new business. We're just starting. We're trying to figure out how better to serve the juice bar market, as opposed to, because it started as a product for individual, whatever story you decide to tell, and see if you can get some and figure out how it's really being used. And the same, if you're getting feedback that your domestic customers are concerned about the environment, and you only have like a real 3 or 4 time use of it, and you're already going over to, and this is me just thinking out loud, to biodegradable straws, why not make a biodegradable version of the pouch?
And that has been, I would say that is definitely our biggest obstacle. And I was mentioning to Greg earlier that we actually went ahead and did sign up for the Capitalism Incubator. And one of the goals in there, which I felt is, I personally put in there, was the only unrealistic goal, was that we want to make the pouch biodegradable. And that's one of the things that I have found to be very difficult working with my supplier on. And essentially, and I know that's not their job to figure that out, but I've been essentially trying to reach out to a few different suppliers in order to get a material that we can blend in with the current materials that will allow it to have that biodegradable functionality. Truth be told, I've only been putting in that effort for the past 3 weeks, as that wonderful magical thought only just dawned on me 3 weeks ago, which I don't know how, because it's staring me right in the face. But I don't believe I'm working as hard at it as I should be, considering that it will absolutely corner the market and greatly increase the desirability of it and overall audience size. And so I think you have a extremely good point, Bram, and something that we are currently working towards.
But so I'm sorry, Greg, but the opposite question I would ask is, okay, look at how concerned are your institutional customers, we'll call the bars the institutional customers, about whether these items are biodegradable, as opposed to your domestic customers. And if 20% of your domestic customers are worried about it, but that's only 30% of your sales, you need to think about whether or not that's because you can only do so many things at once, right? And if you try and conquer, it depends on where you're thinking of this going. But if you'd have to decide between going sort of the route of becoming more institutional and selling to the hospitality industry as opposed to domestic products, where do you think you'd like to go?
Well, I think that if the actual product itself is not losing integrity, what would be the harm in focusing on getting the biodegradability functionality, like really prioritizing that and getting it as soon as possible, so that way pursuing other business clients will be, I would believe that it would be easier, as it would have, even if that's not something that they were initially looking for, it might add an appealing factor that might tip the scale into an easier acquisition, right? Mm-hmm. That's just my thought process at this point.
Yeah, I mean, and it's reasonable, but Bram is right. You actually need to ask them. Okay, so if it's very easy to reformulate, if there's very little time investment, very little capital investment, then it would be a no-brainer to do that. But if this turns into an R&D project where you're spending money on it and spending time on it, and it's not yielding anything that's useful, or once it's finally ready and you launch it with a bunch of fanfare and nobody cares, both of those things can happen, and both of those things have happened to people who had a great idea of how this was going to serve other people, but never actually checked first. So it's worth checking.
Unless of course it's really important to you.
True.
Now, and I would say that there's a dual. So, on that note, what I personally am looking at is that there is R&D definitely involved. No doubt about it, and it is absolutely important to me to have I would love for the brand to have more purpose fulfillment prior to the exit. But to be very honest with you, this brand is not very sexy to me. It's not exactly something where my heart and soul is in, and I personally am looking forward to the exit. But just my personality itself is I do want to go out with a bang, and I would rather that it be a product that I can actually really be proud of, in the sense that there was a bit more purpose fulfillment. And so I am definitely torn there, and I would say that is absolutely holding me back. I can almost just hear the thought in the back of both your minds in regards to the time getting spent in one direction needs to be highly focused, as opposed to getting it split and not really taking.
So you just answered the question that I was about to ask. So thank you. The question I was about to ask is, where do you want to take this brand? Do you want to grow it just for the cash flow, or do you want to grow it because you love it, or do you want to grow it because you want to sell it? And having that intention in mind, I think, will help you to decide what your next move is. So the brand is off to a great start. You said 1,500 units a month.
That was initially, and now we're really looking at about 1,000 units a week, and that is pure Amazon sales, by the way. That is without us really pushing our Google PPC, pushing our Google shopping, without us actually even getting our application through Walmart in yet, which is something that we're really looking forward to doing, is getting on the Walmart marketplace, getting the reviews there, because Capri Sun is the only relevant product there. We have absolutely zero competition. You can't find them unless you are searching very long tail keywords in Google. You can't even find them on the Walmart marketplace search bar. And so I'm personally seeing so much opportunity, and I almost think as if a low 8-figure exit is even thinking small, but at the same time, I'm just unaware of the kind of demand that this actually could create long term.
Hold on a second. I gotta figure something out. So Capri Sun is, by the way, it's international. I grew up in the same shit.
Okay, right.
On far shores, it's the same thing. It's plastic shoes when you go into the sea. We all had those, and the Capri Suns. And Tamagotchis. I'm sure we all had Tamagotchis. In any event, Capri Sun is a product with juice inside, with a drink already inside it. It's just a way of doing it. Nobody else does it. I don't know whether there's a trademark on the way of doing it, or it's just more convenient to stick it in a box. But making drinks portable, I mean, there's 1,000 ways, right? You can stick it in a can, stick it in the box, stick it in a Capri Sun sleeve. You're not selling drinks, you're selling the container, and then somebody else sticks whatever beverage they want in it, right?
Correct.
Looking at Capri Sun as your competition is comparing apples to oranges.
I was referring to specifically just and this is my silly Amazon mindset coming up, that I was only comparing the keyword of drink pouch being that competitive edge. So my apologies there.
No, don't worry, no worries. But no human being, except for someone who's trying to sell them and thinking about building a business, thinks of it drink pouch, what have you. Capri. I mean, if someone's thinking about drink pouch, then either they're thinking about, I remember when I was a kid at a Capri Sun, I'd like to order a box of these, so I have them. Or they're thinking, well, what's a way that I can get my drink stuck into something that's convenient? And then either you have a whole bunch of bottles and other kind of solutions, and then you have yours, which I can imagine there's an advantage because it's easier to stick in the fridge, it's easier to get it in, it's maybe whatever it is, but whatever the advantages are. But again, if you look at it from the user experience, they don't care what it's called. It's either convenient or it isn't. It's solving a problem they have or it isn't. But it's not. They're not married to this way of doing it. And that's why I suggest you try and you get a much better idea of how these items are being used. And if you're having sales going from 1,500 to 4,000 a month, why are they going, and where is that going, and what utility is their customer finding, and what's important to them? Like, is it do they really like it because they really like your logo? And they can make their adult beverages, stick them into one of these things, and go to the beach and have an alcoholic drink in something that looks like a Capri Sun, and it has like these cool palm trees on it. So, but understanding who it is that is actually using these and how they're being used is going to be essential to you figuring out how to speak to that audience and turn this brand into something that's, people run into, that's kind of cool to. Have you heard about it, like turning it? I mean, what you really want to do is not compete with Capri Sun. You want to be the Red Cup of portable drinks.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. Spot on, Bram. We're definitely on the same page. So, Michael, keep doing what you're doing. I mean, if you have that kind of sales volume, then you're scratching an itch, even if you don't know what the itch is yet. But I would start to try to find ways to interact with those customers and survey them for who they are, why they're buying this product, how they use it. And that information is going to give you the ability to come out with product, 2, 3, and 4 that is serving the person that you want to target, instead of coming out with products that seem to be complementary or products that seem to be an improvement, but if it's not speaking to the people who are actually buying it, then it's probably going to fall flat. So I would highly recommend just digging into that customer data, finding ways to contact them. If you have their emails from Shopify, email them, talk to them. If you have their phone number, you can call them.
And we're such in our infancy with Shopify, unfortunately, that again, we had less than 30 days of stock, which is that's a big slap on the wrist on my part there. And so I'm curious, other than acquiring the customer email through our Shopify store, do you have any other recommendations at this time in order for us to really learn a bit about our audience? Because at this point in time, Amazon is definitely being a bit more restrictive, I don't even want to say a bit more, I would say massively more restrictive. And we actually, funny enough, even this morning, the very first time we actually got a warning to not email our customers at all. And
Okay.
there was,
Inserts.
it was actually just an order status
Inserts.
update.
Inserts. So the answer is inserts. Get inserts into all of your products going out of Amazon with some kind of
So
lead
you have a
mag.
QR code insert right now that leads over to the download ebook page on our website.
Okay.
How
And
well
how's that
does that
working?
do?
Yeah. How's that working for you?
It is not as
Because they don't give a flying fuck about an ebook.
Yeah.
it's not as successful as I wish it was. I would say it's probably around 3%. And I know it's not due to the ManyChat flow, because it's about a 3% opt-in prior to them even getting to the flow.
That to
Would it
me,
be
right?
economical to ship them a single free pouch if they give you their email?
I don't know how I would beat the shipping cost on that, to be very honest with you, but the pouch itself would be absolutely nothing. That itself is, very cost effective to ship a single pouch.
What's the ebook about?
The ebook is about recipes. It would be smoothie and juice recipes.
Okay. Have you tried cocktail recipes?
We have not yet. However, that is definitely the other side of the market right there. The divergence right there is health versus alcohol. Really.
Well, and that depends. And I think that's why it's important for you to understand who's buying these.
Okay, gotcha.
Are these people that are into health? And then your smoothie recipes will be great. Maybe you just need to figure out, maybe it's just copywriting and making that more attractive, or finding something else that like, if it's too expensive to send them a pouch, see if you can make some kind of deal with someone else with some kind of digital product that has perceived value, whether it's like a mini course or something else that maybe costs $20, but you find somebody like a $20, $20 to $50 mini course in smoothie making or cocktail making, that you find somebody who has this and he's willing to sell them to you for $1. Right? Because he's going to get these people into his course and then be able to sell them. Maybe he'll even give it to you for free. And you can give your customers something that's actually worth something as opposed to another ebook. Because really the last thing anybody needs is another ebook.
We could even take a step back here. So collecting emails is important, but I think where you are right now is you just need a way to talk to the customer. And emails where I think our brains naturally go, but there might be some other things that you could test. So you can print up insert cards. It's basically like cheap business cards, right? So you could do a couple different versions of an insert and test these and see what works better. So one version could be, hey, if you want to win, if you want a chance to win a 50 pouch bundle, then when you're using your pouch, take a picture of it and post it on Instagram and tag us and tell us what you're using your pouch for, right? And so you're tricking people into showing you what they're doing. And you could run one of these maybe once a month, give away one little package once a month, and you'd have people coming in trying to win that thing. And it's not, it's not like you're building a list of people going after freebies necessarily. What you're doing is you're collecting the intel about what they're using the pouch for. But then you also either get them in Instagram, or you could do this with a Facebook group, whatever. You could do it a number of ways, and you could test some different ways with different versions of the insert card. But I think the key is finding out who these people are and why they're buying the pouch.
Okay.
Because once you know that, then you can just double down on the core. Okay, so you have different people, right? You have the mom who wants to make a healthy drink at home for her kid, but still want him to have that stab the straw experience, right? And then you've got retail establishments who just want like a cool container to put the drink in, give it to go to your customers. And then you've got the middle-aged dad who wants to drink a margarita while he's walking the dog, right?
Believe it or not, the moms are falling in the same category. They like having house parties where the kids and the parents can drink out of the same container, but just obviously a virgin versus a spiked drink.
Right.
Now, I do actually just have one question, Greg, because I absolutely love your idea in regards to giving, making a giveaway. I was also really curious about having like a reward app integrated
Mm-hmm.
into the Shopify store where if someone was to leave a Instagram picture with a comment on what they use their pouch for, they
Mm-hmm.
get 50 points, and maybe 50 points equates to $10 off or what have you.
Yeah,
And
I
then
think that's
maybe
worth
doing a
trying too.
video. Okay. And
Yeah,
so
and
obviously I'd like to go as many avenues as possible, but
right.
just wanted to get that out there to
Sure
ask
thing.
you.
That's an easy thing to turn on Shopify. You just hook the app in and let it do its thing, and then that information will go with customers, with their confirmation email, right?
Mhm.
I would still go the insert card route on Amazon just because you don't have that direct channel of communication.
Absolutely.
But ultimately, you'll still collect all these people on Instagram or whatever platform you choose.
Mhm.
But it gives you a way to gather that intel. So what I was going to say from there is when you find out who your main core is,
Yes.
you have two choices. You have three choices. Choice one is to then just go all in on that core, right? You could just decide to make this all about like selling to cocktail bars on the beach, right? That could just be the whole brand image. And people outside of that group would still buy, but all your messaging would be for that core group. So that would be one way to do it. You just go after like one of these core groups, make all your messaging all about them, and other people will still buy, but that core group will just grow up really fast. For this product, though, I don't think that's even necessary. For this product, if you can instead look at what problem it solves for all of these different people in different situations, if you instead message your product as like solving this problem, then your marketing can be about how this problem is encountered by so many different people. It's encountered by the juice bars. It's encountered by, the parents at the park who want to drink on the down low, the little kids who want the healthy homemade drink. So if you talk about it from like a problem solution kind of thing, then you don't necessarily have to go after a specific person because you're solving the same need for all of these people. So it's a slightly different way to do your brand messaging, but it still works for a product like you have here. The third option is to keep doing what you're doing and not even go deep on the customer. And I mean, that will work for a period of time. Like you won't build like a brand that has
if you
as
want
much
to sell,
value as it could.
Right. But if you
Like-
want to sell and you want to do an exit, if you have an actual brand with an
You'll get
actual
more.
customer base, you'll get more money as opposed to if you're just arbitraging on
Right.
Amazon.
But be aware
that's
that
not the short game. Definitely
Okay.
not here for the short game.
So yeah, that would be the core of my advice is find a way to talk with these customers, understand what need it is that you're serving. And then that also serves to start collecting them in one place, because when you do go to sell, having the audience that's receptive to what you have to say is also a valuable asset that gets factored into the valuation.
Now, going full circle here, because I like I personally, my knee-jerk reaction is that I like the more universal mentality of, it appealing to everyone, solving a major pain point, as opposed to specifically going after one audience. Do you feel as if then prioritizing a biodegradability functionality kind of takes a little bit more precedence here? If there's more of like that universal use among multiple audiences. I hope that makes sense.
What I would do, it sounds like you want to do, I don't know if you want to do that product or if you feel like you need to do that product.
Probably a feel of the need.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you, like I said, if you
I'm
can.
sorry, but is that a result of feedback you've actually gotten, or because you imagine that that's important to somebody who hasn't actually listened to you?
So I'm sorry, it's loud. There's a jet flying over right now. We're close to Air Force Base. But essentially, though, a lot of all of our negative feedback has been, it's just plastic. It's not eco-friendly, which it actually, believe it or not, by true standards, it is eco-friendly, which is really an interesting point on that note. But it has just always been that we don't want plastic straws because, one, you're killing the turtles, so we're handling that. Number two is well, if the pouch itself is not biodegradable, then you're just adding to waste. And so in my mind, I thought that maybe there's only, and this is just, again, in my foundational mindset here and just learning, is that there's two solutions. Is one, maybe we can use a certain amount of the proceeds in order to clean up an amount of waste so that way we're defeating any negativity that we're producing, or we just kind of fix the problem by making the pouch biodegradable so that way it's just snipped right at the bud immediately.
So if you've received feedback in the way of reviews, then you have discovered that there is a demand for that at some level. And is it 1% of your customers, or is it 80%? You don't know.
Definitely on the lower end. They've been more in person than it has been online, but I would probably say we're talking less than 5% of online reviews, online feedback, online communication has been negative in regards to the waste and the pollution that it's causing.
I would say if you can develop the alternative product without taking away from what you're doing, so maintain stock and maintain whatever ad spend you're doing, because you don't want to slow that down, right? But that is going to pay for the development and creation of the new product. And I would not sub them out. Don't replace the old product with the new. No. I would just add the new one as a new product and jack up the price on it.
Interesting. Okay, that is actually very interesting. And the reason why I asked that is that I felt as if then it would be conflicting on the brand purpose, because how would we be able to say that our focus is to reduce waste when we're still selling a plastic version and now we're selling a biodegradable?
Why is the focus to reduce waste?
Well, at least from what I had understood, is it not better to have a brand with more of a purpose and mission as opposed to one without?
As long as that purpose and mission aligns with what you believe and what your customers care about.
Exactly.
So that might be the wrong purpose and mission for this brand. Maybe it's not. Maybe it is. Sorry, Brian.
Yeah, no, but I forgive you. What are you solving? Are you solving pollution?
I see.
Or are you solving the portable drink pouches?
Is it wrong to want both?
No, but it isn't. But do you want? Again, this is why I ask you whether the biodegradable part is important to you. Because if it's important to you, then by all means, go ahead and make that part of your mission. If you're doing it because you're getting feedback and you feel the need to address this part of your market, that's not a bad thing to do. But then you've solved that by having a version which is not and a version which is. And then sure, you're going to have the purists that say, I will only buy from a company that is 100% biodegradable if they make anything that's not. But again,
I have a good example.
Right.
I have a good example.
Go ahead.
My favorite footwear brand is Vivo Barefoot. So they're like barefoot style shoes, but they don't they look mostly like normal shoes, so they don't draw too much attention, but they're super comfortable. I really like them. They've started some new lines. So they have one line where all of the shoes are hand stitched in Africa because they're providing jobs to people that like had no no economic
prospects.
They had no economic prospects. They've basically given them work to do, and I mean they're really high quality. But you also know that you're supporting somebody in their livelihood where otherwise they'd have nothing. Mm-hmm. They also have a line where the shoes are made from recycled plastic bottles, so or some percentage of them is right. So that speaks more to like the sustainability person versus the humanitarian person. They just came out with a line that's hand stitched in Italy. Mm-hmm. So that's like a higher end kind of luxury brand, but it's all the same brand, but they're able to offer different products that speak more strongly to a certain customer, but it all works kind of within their brand ethos, right? Nothing contradicts the other. So you could definitely come out with a biodegradable pouch, price it at 50% more than the other ones, and say, we want to do our part to reduce pollution. And so we have come out with this product over here. And if so if you care about reducing pollution, you should buy this other product. And if that way, the customers who don't care about it aren't necessarily pushed into that. And I don't think you're going to get angry emails from people saying, why do you still sell the old ones? I don't think that'll happen.
Okay. And you know what? And after hearing you say it, it makes more sense. And I think that I've just built up the worst case scenario of just not wanting to get attacked in my head. And yeah, that absolutely makes perfect sense. Thank you so much, Greg and Bram.
So
absolutely. This
has been a lot of fun. And that's sort of, I mean, I think you point to something that's important for all of us to do, because, you know, we build these things and we have lots of theories in our head. And if we don't connect them to facts coming from the ground, then that's all they are. They're theories. And you need to prove them, because the way that you think is not necessarily the way that your customer thinks. And until you have proof that, unless you really are your own avatar, right? And even then, it's better to figure out that you're not just the one weirdo in the world that thinks that way. But yeah, I think that's sort of important. I think we need to have a rain check for us, sort of an after hours, for us to talk about why we've left our jobs, and some of us 3 times. And why right, and why we're pursuing this crazy dream of not going it solo. I think that would be really, really interesting. But I mean, I have to say, Michael and Greg, I just love these conversations. It's like the hour has flown by, and I just looking at it and it's, holy shit, how's it an hour already?
I'd also like to add that me being a member of the 1% has ended up being so incredibly expensive for me, because when I learn about all these cool things that other people are doing in the group, I'm often compelled to go and order one of their products. So Paradise Pouches, if you guys Google it, you can see the website and Amazon both on the first page. Very cool product. I am thinking about ways that I can use that in my own house with my own messy kids. So yeah, thanks for sharing that with us, Michael. And you know, like I said earlier, if you just keep doing what you're doing, you're in really good shape.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
But if you do kind of dig into this customer data and find ways to speak to them a little bit more, and understand like what it is, who these people are and why they're buying it, then you're going to have so much ammunition moving forward to just offer them more of what they want from you. So I really do see the potential for you to build a very valuable brand, and congratulations, you know, getting this product going. It's really cool and it's unique.
Well, thank you guys. And overall, you know, I definitely just want to express my true appreciation, just for, you know, allowing me to come on and overall just get some insight, because I think sometimes we all get too far in the weeds and we don't really realize how good it can be or how good it already is, because we're just consistently trying to raise the standard. And so I just really do appreciate you guys taking the time and, you know, kind of lightening up my dark tunnel right now, so to speak. And yeah, on that note, hopefully I can go ahead and maybe schedule another hot seat meeting so that we could follow up and just see where the progress goes, and maybe start fixing some other problems, and hopefully help anyone else that might be going through similar situations.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun. And if, you know, anybody else that's watching and you'd like to have a conversation like the one we've just had with Michael, all you need to do in order to schedule a session with us is go to lovelineforbiz.com, and there's a button somewhere there on the page that allows you to schedule a session with us. We love having these conversations. You know, the people that come on enjoy having them. I think it's a lot of fun. So if you're on the fence about it, get off the fence and sign up.
All right, let's call it.
Yeah. All right.
That's it.
Bye, everybody.